Hey guys, we're back. This time we're taking a look at Dungeon Drop Too Deep. It's a long-awaited expansion to Dungeon Drop from Pay Shift Games. I did a video a while ago on the Kickstarter version. I had a prototype copy of the game, and this one even has more in it, and everything's finalized now. This is the retail copy that you'll be getting if you back the Kickstarter or if you buy it in stores. So we're going to get right in and take a look. Now, I do love that on the new box they have these little thumb holes. Makes it way easier to open. So that's a cool aspect. Again, as with the other one, there is cool artwork all around. Inside the lid we have all the various different bosses. Same thing on the box. I think we have the new playable races. They even did the inside. Love the extra care and stuff that they take for their boxes. We'll look at the inside a bit more when it's empty. But we got a whole bunch of things in here. I think we're going to start on this side. And lots of cards here. So we're going to start off with these guys, which are the new playable races and the new playable classes. So we'll separate these out here. For our new races, we have the Darkmander, we have the Infernal, Lobbling, Lurkman, Moleman, and Shapeshifter. And those, of course, get added to the existing supply of characters already available from the original Dungeon Drop. Then we have a whole stack of new class cards. Lots of them here. So we have the Bounty Hunter, the Booby Trapper, the Armorer, the Arcanist, Cook, a lot of text on that one, the Cultist, the Demolitionist, another one with a lot of text, the Enchanter, Monk, Necromancer, Relic Bound, Spelunker, Time Mage, and Witch. And again, those are going to get added to the already extensive list of classes that we have from the base game, meaning you're going to have a ton of variety in class and race choices. It is worth noting that a lot of these pertain to mechanics that exist in Drop Too Deep. So while you may be able to play them with the two games combined, you might not be able to use certain ones of these if you're only playing with the base game. So keep that in mind. You'll have to read the abilities and see which ones are and aren't playable with just the base game. Next in our stack of cards here, we have a promo slip for Tavern Tales and the Wizards and Spells expansion, which I will be doing a video for on the channel. I did not back Tavern Tales, but I do have a promo video for the Kickstarter of a prototype. It was a good game, don't get me wrong, it just wasn't my kind of thing, and I didn't think it would see a lot of play, so I didn't bother to back that, but I got all the other stuff, so keep an eye out for videos for those on the channel. And of course, Drop Drive, I've done a preview video of that recently, and I will be doing a full video for that when it comes out. Probably won't be till next year though, maybe late this year, early next year. Next up for the cards, we have the boss cards. And this is one of the new mechanics for this expansion. We're going to be adding randomized bosses, so it won't be just the Draglin that's in the dungeon. There's a whole variety of different bosses to go through. We have the Arch Lich here. They all have different abilities down here, which will be triggering whenever you use a forbidden pillar to make a room. And then you have your scoring over here, which is different for each one, and of course the amount of health that it takes to knock them out. But we have the Archlich there, we have the Chaos Cube, the Colossal Contraption, Cube Thulu. I love the names of some of these. Look at that massive 10 health on there. A Cyclops, our Draglin, which was the original boss for the base game, Evil Eye, the Flame Demon, which we have a spiffy metal token of thanks to the limited 2021 promo pack, a giant gelatinous cube, because why wouldn't you have one of those in a dungeon, the Goblin King. Shouldn't he be Groblin King? I never noticed that before. And then the Lava Kraken. So, bunch of new bosses to choose from, and there's even a card in there for the original, so you can randomly draw what boss is going to appear in your games. And I scrolled that right off the camera there. Try to get it back in camera there. There we go. And we're going to go on to more cubes, or more cards. I'm doing this out of order because the books are in the back, but I'm just going through what all is here. Next up we have the group goals, and these are the cards that you're using in the co-op mode, where you're trying to achieve certain objectives in order to win the game. And these objectives always have two sides, so you can have this side here, in this case for the Ancient Arena. If you capture a huge monster without using a magic shield or molten shield in a room, that achieves this objective. Or if anybody's defeated two huge monsters and have them in their pool of defeated creatures. There is a whole series of these. Some don't have a choice. I'm going to flip through them real quick because I don't think some people might not want to see them all. Some people might want to read them all. You can pause if there's one you want to see. But a lot of different ones of these, which mean variety in your replay of your games, because I think you only get a certain amount of these based on the game. I want to say 3. I have not played the co-op mode since the early prototype, so bear with me on that. I might be wrong. You'll have to check on that if you're interested in it. I may be playing that mode more, though, because I found the Wizards and Spells has an expansion a mode that basically requires you to use that. So we'll definitely be giving it more of a try as we go. Next up, we have some new quest cards, and there's a bunch of new quests. Quest cards are how you score your points in the game. There's a bunch of new ones of these, which are going to change up how you score your points. I do believe there are some of these that may refer to new components, so you will have to double check to make sure that you can use these in all of your games. They may only be able to be used in Drop Too Deep. I think once you have Drop Too Deep, though, you're probably never going to play just the base game. At least I don't think I will, so it's not really going to be an issue there. Next we have our Molten Shield card. I believe it's the same on both sides. This is just if you pick up the Molten Shield, you have this card to reference what it actually does for you. And then finally we have some player reference cards, and these reference the new types of cubes and what they are, the new types of monsters, what they are, normal treasure, consumable treasures. Again, the new stuff is in here. On the back side you have the round structure with the new phase for awakening the dungeon here, which is when you're going to trigger all the different abilities and the new huge monster is going to jump into the dungeon. These could pretty much replace the player reference cards that were in the base game. And like I said, I don't know if you're playing one or the other. You might want to use just the base ones, but I see most of our games being played with Drop Too Deep, so we're just going to use these from now on. Now that we've gone through most of the cards, I think there's some more stashed in the back here we'll get to. But we have our rule book. And for those of you who backed the Kickstarter, you may find that you have two rule books. One that was in the box, one that was wrapped separately. I guess there is a mistake in the original book, and they want you to use this replacement book. This one can be tossed out. I'm just going to go through this one because this one is not opened yet, but the sealed one that came separately is going to be the correct rule book. The one that was packaged in the box is incorrect. If you're buying this later on at retail, you may only have the one. Chances are they've already fixed the printing issue by then. So on our first page, we have a components list, what you should have, of what they are, a quick overview of these huge monster cards, the changes to gameplay, because there are a few things that change, like the forbidden pillars, and the damage tokens, which are new. A couple new things like the armor, the relics that allow you to level up, the Molten Shields. Changes to the end of game. Then you have your solo Spelunker mode. This is your solo play mode. They added some things in there that are going to change up when you're doing that. Then we have our Fearless Fellowship mode, which is the co-op mode where you're using those quest cards there, the group cards, to try to achieve the objectives to complete the dungeon. Some changes to the rules for that. And then finally in the back they have a couple of notes on expansions, what they are, how they combine with your games, and so on. Next thing we have is a rulebook for the solo Spelunker mode, and this was actually originally a PDF online, and now it's an official game variant that has its own rulebook that came with this. It's basically rules for solo play on how the game works. And haven't actually gotten to play that yet. That's top of my list to do because I love solo games, and I'm definitely going to be giving that one a try, and I'll let you know how it turns out. Along with that came a new replacement rulebook for the original Dungeon Drop. Again, they changed the terminology. I think that's what the main difference is between referencing different types of treasure, I believe it was, and going by different colors. They've changed the terminology up for it. No rules, as far as I know, have changed in the book, but this is to replace the original book in your original Dungeon Drop game if you have it. Not sure if these are going to be in the retail version. Like I said, by the time it comes to retail, they probably put these reprinted books in the original Dungeon Drop game, so I don't know if these are going to be in there. So you may or may not have that. Same with the other stuff, just keep that in mind. And then we have another stack of cards here, and again, these are from the Kickstarter version. I do not believe these are going to be in the retail versions, so just keep that in mind. They may be. I didn't actually check to see if they were listed. They may be listed in the rulebook. If that's the case, they may come with all of them. But you have some class cards here, you have some race cards, and you have some quest cards. And these are reprints of things that were in the original game. They've changed up the clarity of wording. Maybe they've changed the rules on them slightly. They use the new terminology on some of these. But you have Collector's Curiosity, Fool's Folly are your two quests. The Gear Golem, the High Elf, the Stonekin, the Wood Elf, the Boblin for races, the Adept, the Archer, the Bard, the Beastmaster, the Cleric, the Rope Master, and the Mage for your class types. And again, some of them have had new abilities added completely. Like I want to say the Archer has a new ability completely on there, while other ones have slightly rewords or clarifications on them. So you have to go through and look and decide. I know some people mentioned keeping both and having an option. Some people want the new replacements. These are the new ones. So if you're looking for that, these are the ones that replace the ones from the original. So keep that in mind. Again, it's an optional thing, and some people, like I said, want to keep both, and you'll have some variety there. Next thing we have is this big bag here, and I think all of the games are listed as deluxe now, or they're not listed as deluxe anymore, but to get the deluxe, there's a lot of dumping here. We're going to dump it all out. We're going to go through it. And the big thing was, in the original Dungeon Drop, there was a deluxe model that had a, instead of the little tokens like this, for each character, well, I believe it came with those too, but you got these cool wooden meeples, and they're used for different various game modes. But this one came with them by default, because I think all of their games now are going to be deluxe by default. At least that's what I heard, that's what I think it's going to be. But so you have those deluxe meeples, and they're really well done. I like them. Big, chunky, thick. And of course we got the discs for each of the new races as well. Came with a pair of phase shifter tokens here, and then a marker for when you're playing the solo Spelunker mode. We have these new heart markers. I'm still not sure why they're green and not red. Don't know what the idea was behind that, but these are how you're going to keep track of your wounds. So on your character card here, you have a number of hearts. The way the original game worked is when you defeated a monster, you would set the monsters on those. Now you're just going to put the monsters in your pool with your treasure, and you're going to put these hearts on here to represent when you've taken damage. And I like the concept. I'm just not sure why they're not red. They're nice though, easier to keep track of. It was a kind of a fiddly thing in the original game. Some of the larger creatures would take multiple damage, so you would take a large cube and you'd have to put it across multiple hearts, and it was just kind of fiddly and odd. So having the heart tokens definitely makes that much easier to deal with. Next thing we have here are the new armor cubes. And these are kind of cool. In the prototype, I think they were just shiny cubes. I like these way better. A little suit of armor on them. Those are neat. We have our new Molten Shields, which are a transparent cube with these little glitter flecks in them. And these use that Molten Cube card. When you pick them up, they can be used for defense. Then we have our new Forbidden Pillars. These are really cool marbleized cubes. And these are going to be used in Drop Too Deep. Whenever you make a room that includes at least one of these forbidden pillars, it's going to trigger off the boss's abilities, wherever they went. There, the boss ability on here. It's going to trigger those. And there's some other things that pertain specifically to forbidden pillars. But they're just going to add more pillars to make your rooms with in the game. And then finally we have our boss cubes. Now, if you had the original version of the deluxe version of the game, you probably already had this guy. If not, you had a normal wooden red cube. This is our Draglin. The deluxe version already came with that screen printed guy, so you may already have that one. I'll stick him down there. Also, if you got the limited promo pack from the original Kickstarter, you may have a metal version of the Draglin cube. Same goes for the Fire... Man, I can never remember this guy's name. But he has a, in the limited promo pack 2021, has a metal cube to replace him too. I wish I could remember his name. Somebody's going to yell at me in the comments, I'm sure. But, so there's him too. Then we have the remaining 9 bosses. Each have really cool, colorful prints of their faces on there, with the exception of the gelatinous cube, which is just this semi-transparent, like milky cube. I think it came out pretty cool. But it fits the gelatinous cube perfectly. And then the other ones all have screen printed. They're on 2 sides. They have the face. And then they're also color coded to make them a little bit easier to find. And that is everything out of the box. Again, I said I was going to show this when it was empty. More cool artwork. And yeah, that's a look at everything in the Dungeon Drop Too Deep expansion. This is an expansion. It does require the base game in order to play. However, it adds a few new modules that are going to enhance your gameplay. You have the new and errated cards here, which are going to fix up some things. As I said, you may or may not have the new rulebooks. Your game may already come with the updated rulebooks, so you may not have duplicates like I have here. Then you have your new classes, new races, which are going to add more variety to your game because you have a ton of new stuff there, especially the classes that are going to mix and match with your existing races and your new races to make just kind of infinite combos there. Someone will do the math and come up with how many exactly there are, but there's a ton of combos there. New quests are going to change things up by adding new ways to score points. You mix those in with the originals, and you never know what's going to come up, who's got what quest, and how they're going to score. So it's kind of a cool aspect of the game there. Looking at the types of treasure your opponents are collecting and trying to figure out what they're going for scoring. You have the new quests here for the Fellowship mode. I think that whole mode to the game is a cool new aspect, and I can't wait to get to play that some more. Turning it into a full co-op game opens it up to a lot of other groups who may not like the semi-competitive nature of the game, so having a full co-op mode is definitely cool there. Also that it plays with the Wizards and Spells expansion. It's going to add more replayability with that as well. Then, of course, we have the new bosses, which was the key big feature of this new expansion to change up the bosses so you're not always facing against the Draglin. Now you have a whole slew of new bosses that can be randomly chosen, and it's not just one per game. There's technically going to be three per game because one drops in each of the 3 turns of the game. So by the end, you have no idea what you're going to be up against, and they combo together. Some of them can trigger, when the pillars are used or whatnot, they're going to trigger, so they can trigger multiple times a turn, and it can just wreak havoc and screw up your plans. The game also introduces the new armor cubes, the Forbidden Pillars, which I kind of already talked about, and the Molten Shields, as well as some other new things. The level up mechanic, where you can gain the Relic to go up a level. Going up a level gets you multiple classes. There's different things that make use of that. So you can have multiple classes now, which is kind of a new and neat aspect of the game. Again, allows you to use some of the multitude of things here to make really mix and match and make some interesting combos. And I love the way that changes things up. Overall, I can't say that I have any real complaints about Dungeon Drop or Drop Too Deep or how any of the mechanics work. There are a couple of the game formats that I have not played. I messed with the Solo Spelunker mode once when it was really early on, and it was a PDF file. I don't think a lot has changed in here, so I'm going to play that some more, though, and see how I like that. But yeah, overall, there's nothing bad I have to say about the game. Everybody I've ever introduced it to loves it. It plays fast, it's fun, and it's real easy to teach. And it's been a great game with everybody that I've introduced to it. I have some friends who really aren't gamers per se. They like video games more than board games. And one night we broke out the original Dungeon Drop and they loved it. So this only takes everything that was in that game and makes it better without really overcomplicating things. And that's probably the best part, that you can make use of this stuff without really adding too many new rules to the game. And that's where I think it shines. Definitely recommend this to anybody who enjoys the original Dungeon Drop. It's just more of the same. It's going to add more to your games. You're going to like it and enjoy all the new things. If you didn't like the original Dungeon Drop, what's wrong with you? But sorry, everybody has their own likes and dislikes, and there's nothing in this expansion that is going to change your mind. Nothing game changing that's really going to change it up. For if you didn't like the original, you're probably not going to like this. But if you did like the original, then this is just kind of a must have thing. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for our look at Dungeon Drop Too Deep from Phase Shift Games. Hope it helps you decide if it is worth picking up. As I said, if you like the original game, you're going to want to pick this up if you haven't already. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.